When my parents asked if I could come help them for a few weeks, I didn't hesitate. They were getting older, and I figured it was the least I could do. My vacation could wait. Their house needed repairs, and they couldn't handle it all anymore. My mom had complained about the leaking faucet, the broken gate, the outdated wiring. My dad muttered about the sagging roof and squeaky floors. It was obvious they needed someone. Since my brother Greg lived close by, I assumed he'd been pitching in. I was wrong. The moment I walked through the door, the house practically groaned under years of neglect. Peeling paint, musty smell, broken fixtures, the kind of wear and tear that doesn't happen overnight. Greg was sprawled on the couch, scrolling through his phone, barely looking up. "You're finally here," my mom said, her tone more accusatory than relieved. "There's so much to do. I don't know why we waited so long to call you. No hello. No thanks for coming. Just complaints and expectations. Still, I gotta work. Fix the faucet, then the gate." By the end of the first day, I was exhausted but proud. Surely they'd noticed the effort. "Nope. Why did you fix it like that?" my mom asked, frowning at the gate. Greg would have done it differently. Greg, of course, hadn't moved from the couch. "She's picky," he said with a shrug, as if that made her criticism reasonable. I let it go. It was only the first day. The next morning, I was up before sunrise to rewire the garage. Spent hours in the dust and cobwebs, replacing decades-old wires. When I came in, covered in grime, Greg was sitting at the kitchen table while Mom fussed over his eggs like he was royalty. "Don't forget to check the gutters," Dad called from the living room. I hadn't even sat down. "What took you so long in the garage?" Mom asked. "It shouldn't take that long." Greg smirked. He's probably overthinking it. No one cared about the work. Only the speed and whether Greg approved. That afternoon, I climbed up to clean the gutters. Greg was supposed to hold the ladder. He disappeared after a minute. I finished the job solo, sweat dripping into my eyes. Back inside, Greg was on the couch, laughing with Dad. Mom passed by me, muttering, "The roof still needs fixing." No acknowledgement. Just another task. By day 3, I was drained. Early mornings, long nights, never-ending tasks. Greg, meanwhile, thrived, lounging around, making smug comments, soaking up praise. In the garage, rewiring another section, I heard my mom in the kitchen. "Thank you for always being here for us," she told Greg. "Not like your brother. Only shows up when it's convenient." I froze. Convenient? I'd canceled a vacation for this. Later, Greg relayed the next chore without looking up from his phone. "Mom wants you to check the gutters." Again. They're overflowing. I bit my tongue. Again. Every time I returned inside, Greg had something to say. "Gate feels loose. You might want to tighten it again. You've been up there forever. What's taking so long?" One day, I saw him holding the ladder for me. Later found out he'd abandoned his post to eat pie while Mom made him tea. When I walked in, dirty and sore, Mom barely glanced at me. "You're not done yet?" she said, voice sharp. "We can't wait forever." Greg smirked. "Yeah, man. Hurry up." By that evening, I was on edge. And then I overheard the conversation. "At least Greg is here for us," Mom said. "Not like your brother," she added. "He only shows up when it suits him." Greg laughed. "Yeah, I don't even know why he came. He doesn't have the patience." I stood frozen in the hallway, fists clenched. Patience? I was the one up early. I was the one fixing everything. I was the one doing it all. And yet Greg, lazy, smug Greg, was the golden child. The next morning, I woke up sore, barely able to move. Greg was still in bed. I'd already replaced 2 fence posts before he appeared, coffee in hand. Dad came out. "That paint job's uneven," he said, pointing at one of the posts. "Greg wouldn't have done it like that." Greg added, "Yeah, it's a little off." I snapped. "Are you going to help with anything today, Greg?" He grinned. "I've got stuff to do with Mom." "Groceries." "Groceries." That was his contribution. While I patched the roof, I overheard him again. "You know how he is," Greg said in the kitchen. "Rough around the edges. I don't think he's cut out for this kind of work." Mom sighed. "He's always been like that. But at least he's trying." Trying. That word echoed like a slap. That evening, I was drenched in sweat. Walking inside for a drink, I heard the words that broke me. "I don't know why he even came," Greg said. "He's just making things harder." "He's always been like this," Mom agreed. "Overthinks everything. Makes a mess." Dad chimed in. We'd be lost without you, Greg. Something snapped. I walked into the kitchen. My boots hit the floor with force. You think I'm not cut out for this? I said, voice shaking. They turned. Silent. Caught. I've been breaking my back, fixing everything while Greg sits on his ass. And you praise him? No one spoke. I cancel my plans. Work nonstop. And you act like I'm a problem. Dad crossed his arms. You don't have to make a scene. I laughed bitterly. A scene? This is reality. Greg does nothing. I fix your house. You ignore me and treat him like royalty. Mom tried to defend herself. We're just saying you could do things a little better. Better. My voice rose. I've done everything while you sit and criticize. And Greg, he hasn't lifted a finger. Dad, try it again. You're being dramatic. I turned, walked to my room, and packed, hands shaking with exhaustion and rage. As I left, Greg was leaning against the hallway wall. You're really leaving? He asked, smug. Yeah, I said, brushing past. Enjoy being the reliable one. At the door, Mom appeared. So that's it? You're just walking out. I turned, bag over my shoulder. What else do you want from me? I've done everything, and all I've heard is that I'm not good enough. Greg stepped in, voice laced with sarcasm. Nobody asked you to come here and act like a hero. I shook my head. No, because you've never had to do anything. Dad appeared. You don't have to make a scene. I stepped closer. I'm not making a scene. I'm finally saying what needed to be said. Greg's the favorite, and I'm the one you call when things fall apart. Not anymore. Mom's face twisted. We never said we didn't appreciate you. You call me difficult. I snapped. Well, maybe being the only one who actually does something is difficult. If Greg's so perfect, let him handle everything. I opened the door, turned back one last time. Don't bother calling me to fix anything again. You made it clear I'm not welcome. And I left. Outside, the air was cool, but the storm inside raged on. I threw my bag in the car, started the engine, and didn't look back. The calls started within an hour. Mom, then Dad, then Greg. I ignored them. They didn't care when I was there. Why should I care now? Eventually, I turned off my phone. Silence never felt so good. A few days later, curiosity got the best of me. I turned it back on. Dozens of missed calls. Messages. Then, another call. Mom. Against my better judgment, I answered. Finally, she snapped. Do you know how worried we've been? Worried? I said calm but cold. You weren't worried when I was breaking my back while you ignored me. Greg's voice chimed in. If you couldn't handle it, you shouldn't have come. I laughed. I came because none of you could handle anything. And I'm the one who couldn't cut it. Dad's voice joined in. You're blowing this out of proportion. No, I said. I've been treated like a burden while Greg does nothing and gets praised. I'm done. You've always had a tendency to make everything about you, Mom snapped. And that was it. No, I said, voice firm. This is about the way you've treated me my whole life. I've had enough. Greg tried to speak. I cut him off. Don't bother, Greg. You're not worth it. And I hung up, then blocked them all. For the first time in a long time, I felt free. They had taken enough of my time, my energy, and my peace. It was finally time to live for me.